you're too much, you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, you're too dramatic, you're too crazy, you're too whatever that label is. To other people, it may not mean a lot, but to you, it can truly hurt inside of you when other people say that, especially like people you get into a relationship with, men you get into a relationship with. Because, for one, it makes you feel like something is wrong with you. It makes you feel like, oh, maybe I need to fix this about myself. Maybe I'm not meant for a relationship. Maybe love is not meant for be for me. And this is the type of thought that a lot of women can get into, and it's actually a lot more common than you think. And I this conversation get brought up in the clients that I support too. And I want to talk about that because whenever a man says you're too much, what it can do to women is either one of two things. Because one, there are those women who shrink ourselves down, who hold ourselves back, because at one point we've been told that we're too much. And so anytime that you go out on dates, anytime that you meet new people, you may hold yourself back. You may not speak a lot. You may be afraid of being seen, afraid of another person, seeing you for who you are, speaking so enthusiastically, or whatever that case may be. You may be afraid that they might see everything about you, right? And so you may hold yourself back. You may shrink yourself down in fear that they will not like you anymore, in fear that they may think that you're too much. And so there are these women who feel like they're tiptoeing around in terms of relationships. And then there's this opposite side of women, where the type of woman who puff up, right? The type of woman who becomes hardened by this experience. And so you may blame the other person. You may blame men. You may say that, oh, men are not capable, or that person, whoever that said it, he's not capable, right? You may villainize men and saying that men, they just don't take relationships seriously anymore. They or all the good men are taken, right? Whatever that case may be, you may give up excuses on like why love is not possible for you, when actually deep down a part of you feels not good enough. A part of you feels like something's wrong with you, right? Because this person has told you that you're too much. And so I wanted to talk about this because this being called too much, it's more than just a word. It's actually, it can take away that peace of mind when it comes to our relationship. It makes us ourselves hold ourselves back, and even when you get into a relationship, it feels like you can't be fully be loved. It feels like you don't feel as so connected to the other person anymore, because you're afraid that they may call you that you're too much, right? And so it not only blocks us from getting into relationships in the first place, it also blocks further connection when we do get into relationships. So the question now is, why do men say that you're too much? And we want to understand this, because I just don't want to be saying this like, oh, you're not too much, you're perfect just the way you are, and you're perfect, there's nothing wrong, right? Yes, this is true. Yes, you're already perfect, but also we want to understand deeper into why this phenomena is happening, especially if you hear it so many times from the men that you get into relationships with. You get into not just one person, but like several men in a row that have told you that you're too much. Or maybe not just men, but also like other people you interact with, right? So why do they do that? And so we want to understand the deeper dynamic of where this dynamic stems from. So in order to understand that, you can see that this too muchness, it happens. The reason why it is hurting is because the reason why it hurts us even more is because it's triggering a deeper wound that was there even before you got into these relationship with men. There was a time in your life whenever you absorbed that wound, right? Whenever you had that wound has been inflicted on you. And right now in your relationship with men, it's only like re-triggering the thing that has already been there, right? And this initial wound is when I would call this like, this is the, you can see that this is you when you were young, right? This little baby in the baby towel or cocoon. And then you wanted that love from your parents, your caretaker, or maybe even your school or your friends. But then you were told that you were too much, right? Maybe they didn't have the, so we were talking about parents, maybe they didn't have the physical resources or the emotional capacity to give love to you at that time. Whenever you were crying, whenever you wanted that love, you wanted that presence, you didn't have it back then. And so, however, this little baby doesn't know that that's the truth. This little baby doesn't know that the reason why the parent or someone else couldn't be there is because they didn't have the capacity, right? So maybe they didn't have the physical or the emotional capacity to, whatever that may be, they didn't have the capacity to give. But all that the little baby knows is being told this thing that you're too much, right? You're too much. That's all the baby heard. And so the baby, whenever you were young, you may have thought, like deep in your psyche, all that it knows is that there's something so excessive about me that it is not acceptable, that it is not lovable, and therefore something is wrong with me. Right? So this is a message that wrong with me. So this is a message that we subconsciously absorbed because of these interactions. We start to believe that, oh, there must be something wrong with me, right? Something wrong with who I am. This is the reason why the parent or the caretaker or the friend or the teacher, whatever that may be, they couldn't give love to me. And therefore, but we didn't know that this is the reason why. We didn't know to have a deeper understanding of it, but all we know is that there is something wrong with me. And this is also the root of why insecurities happen. Whenever we have insecurities, whenever we feel not good enough, it's because of this message that something is wrong with me is in the back of our mind. And this is the reason why we feel like we're not good enough, right? And so fast forward to when you are an adult in relationships. Let's say this is you in a relationship getting on a date with a guy. And so at first everything may seem like great, right? It's just a date. Like you are presenting your confident self, you're dressing up pretty, right? You look nice and you have all this chemistry and all that stuff. But then because of this subconscious message that says something is wrong with me, right? Which we are not even aware, right? When these things, the thing with these subconscious messages is that these beliefs is that they are operating us without us even knowing, right? And they're operating that in the back of our mind. And so because of this belief, we then, whenever we're engaging with new people, like getting new people, then we start to repress ourselves because we believe that something is wrong with me. And therefore, you tone ourselves down. You hold yourself back. And I'm putting this down arrow because that's literally what's happening. It's almost like you are like dimming your aura, you're dimming your light because you feel like something is wrong with you. Right? And so you may not speak as much, share as much, express as much. You may not be playful as much. You may not be too much of that thing because you're afraid that this person might not like you. But then what happens is, okay, this relationship, this initial interaction may have worked out great. But then by the time you guys get into official relationship, and then with time, what happens, of course, is that with time is always this great tester of relationships, right? Whenever we have these hidden patterns, the patterns always will find a one way to come out, one way or the other. They will come out because life shakes up, right? Maybe our career situation, or maybe in our relationship, right? He may do things that you didn't want to, or he may not follow his promises, or he may mess up one way or another, right? And so what happens is that during these times when these things life shakes up, what happens is that our triggers then come up. And when our triggers come up, these subconscious barrier, right? These barriers of like repression, it's no longer there anymore. Now we are actually showing our true colors. We're now showing who we actually are underneath, right? So this is when we may get into like, we may start to speak up more, we may start to ask more, we may start to demand more, or we may start to express yourself more, be more emotional, whatever that may be, right? You just start to become more. And the thing is that it's not actually more. You have always been like this all along. But these things, we held ourselves back from it. Whenever we were engaging into this person in this initial relationship, we didn't hear that, right? All we knew was that there was this spark, there was this chemistry, and you guys find each other attractive. That's all what we know. But later on, what then happens is that then our real emotion, our real colors, right? Our true side, our real parts of us then come alive. Because life happens. And this, my love, is when the guy says, you are too much. It may feel like they're caught up by surprise, right? They're too much. But the truth is that it's actually who you are. They just didn't know that. And because now they are taken up by surprise, taken up by the shock, then they say that, oh, you're too much, you're too demanding, you are too emotional, you express too much, whatever that may be, right? And then they may ask for a break, or maybe the breakup happened, or whatever this chaos in our relationship, then it starts to spiral. And so all of this comes down to, right, all of this scenario, by dissecting into knowing where this too muchness is coming from, now you start to see that whenever a person says that you are too much, it's just that they are taken up by surprise. They're taken by surprise, right? And they're taken by surprise because at one point we held ourselves back. We didn't show that part of ourselves. And because if someone just met you, they may not even say, like, if they feel that they're too much, right? The relationship is not going to continue. But then because there is this part that says something is wrong with me, then we try to fix ourselves, then we try to hold ourselves back down, which makes us feel like finally the baggage, everything is out, right? Everything is out, which is like our true self, our true parts, our true desires. And so all of this is to say that whenever you feel that you're too much, or when a person is saying that you're too much, this is just to say that the truth is that nothing is wrong with you. You need no fixing. Everything about you is perfect. Yes. But it's not enough to just know it in your mind. Instead, you need to truly, these parts of your body, the subconscious, it needs to experience it. Experience love for who you are. Not only because you repress yourself, just like in this scenario, right? You receive the love in this case, Not only when you dim yourself down, but that you are deserving of love. You are worthy of love just for who you are, just for everything about you. Even if you speak too much, even if you express too much, even if you cry too much, or whatever that may be, can you let yourself receive love for all these parts of you? Because only then, when you can feel love for everything that you do, then you can be confident no matter who you engage with and interact with. Now you can fully express as who you are. You're not holding yourself back anymore. And my love, this you owning who you truly are, in fact, is very attractive. It's very attractive to the right person. To the right person, it's so magnetic because you're owning you. Because you are setting the standard that yes, you are deserving of love, even if you are this, right? Even if you are this, you're setting that example and you're owning that. And when you own that, not only that is attractive to the right person, not only that, you will find yourself having more fun, having more enjoyment in terms of your relationships, in terms of your connection, whether you're going out on a dates or whether you are hanging out with your friends or whatever that may be. You're going to enjoy yourself so much more, and you're going to feel not only more connected to yourself, you're going to feel more connected to others too. And that, my love, is how you heal this pattern, the pattern that says that you're too much.